About $529 million was reportedly traded on the platform Polymarket in bets on when the US strikes on Iran would occur.
America, 6 anonymous accounts correctly predicted the exact night the United States bombed Iran. Every single one of those accounts was open and loaded with fresh cash in the 24 hours before the bombs hit. They all bet yes, and they all got paid. My friends, that is not luck. You don't accidentally get that right. That is classified information turned into a personal ATM. And here's what should bother you sitting here. Until April 30th, 2026, there was not one law, not one rule, not one consequence stopping any U.S. staffer from doing exactly that. Completely legal the whole time they were serving you. The Senate just banned itself from something that had never been prohibited from doing, and the House is sitting on their hands while every single one of their 435 members are still logging into betting apps tonight to wager the vote that they're casting tomorrow in the morning.
I don't believe we should trade stocks at all. It's completely insane. I think we should focus on our jobs and have our voters go, hey, this guy's voting this way, because this is the right thing for the state.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Real quick before we get into it, this story hits hard if you understand what they're actually talking about. A prediction market is basically a sports betting app like Kalshi and Polymarket, except instead of betting money on the Dallas Cowboys or the LA Lakers, you bet on real world events. Will the United States bomb Iran? Will the Federal Reserve raise your interest rates? Will a specific senator win his race? You put money on it, yes or no. You're right. You collect the cash. You're wrong. You lose money. Two biggest platforms right now, like I mentioned earlier, are Polymarket and Kalshi. Since Trump won in 2024, these platforms have gone from $50 million traded every week to, get this, guys, $6 billion a week. That is 100 times bigger in less than 2 years. Now, guys, I want you to think about who has the best shot of winning those bets every single time. Not you, not me, the people, obviously, who get classified military briefings. We've seen it happen with Nancy Pelosi. The people who vote on the government's budget before it actually goes public. The people who command the operations that get to bet on. Those people obviously have been sitting on a gold mine until last week. Nobody told them that they couldn't cash it. 3 things happened in the last week of April 2026 that finally forced the Senate to act, and it all happened within 48 hours of one another.
3 political candidates across the country were caught betting on their own races on the predictive market platform Kalshi. The company made the announcement as part of its crackdown on insider trading.
Kalshi came out and they said that I insider traded on a market about me running for office. Now, I've been waiting for this.
He's the most honest person in this entire story. Mark Morin, independent, running for Senate in Virginia, put $100 on himself on purpose, I might add. His entire point of all of it was to prove that federal candidates could bet on their own races with 0 federal consequences because no laws said that they couldn't vote. Kalshi's own internal compliance systems flagged him, not the FBI, not the FEC, not the government agency that regulates these platforms, the company's own team.
Kalshi fined DFL State Senator Matt Klein more than $500 and suspended him for 5 years for betting on his own primary. The platform called it political insider trading. Klein is running to represent Minnesota's 2nd congressional district, the seat currently held by Angie Craig, who's running for Senate. In a statement to KARE 11 this afternoon, he said he made the bet because he was just curious how it worked, saying it was the only wager he's ever made. Klein apologized and went on to say his experience points to the need for clearer rules and regulations around prediction markets.
A sitting senator got caught betting on his own election, and his solution is the app needs to have better rules. And he miraculously is the rule writer here. That's a whole problem in one sentence. Here's what these three candidate cases proved all at once. The platform caught what the government missed. There's no law being broken because the people who write laws never even bothered to write one for themselves. And one congressman actually saw this coming 5 weeks before anybody got caught. On March 25th, 2026, Massachusetts Democrat Seth Moulton banned his own congressional office from trading on prediction markets before the Senate ever voted on it. His ban used one specific phrase that tells you exactly how this insider trading system actually works. He said, no trading on anything based on information learned in an official capacity, aka meaning if you heard of it in a classified briefing, you cannot bet on it. Period. End of story. He had put that in writing because until he did, nobody, and absolutely nobody, had said it out loud, probably because everybody was benefiting from it. We already know who's benefiting the most from it, right? The lady with the eyebrows, okay? And the facelifts. That was April 22nd for the candidates. The very next day, another soldier walked into the courtroom in New York.
The federal case against a U.S. Army Special Forces soldier for allegedly making more than $400,000 from bets tied to the Venezuelan operation to capture former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro.
Now, the people who write our laws, our nation's secrets, and command our military should not be able to use the prediction markets to wager on the outcomes of their own work. Prediction markets have exploded over the last few years, and we must never allow Congress to turn into a casino.
Many of you guys have probably already heard this story, but let me quickly rewind it and get a quick refresher. A Special Forces soldier on a classified mission used what he knew to cash a check on a gambling app. That is Moulton's official capacity problem with military uniform on. Master Sergeant Gannon Ken Van Dyke was part of the team that helped capture Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro in January 2026. That operation was classified. Nobody outside the mission circles was supposed to know that anything was coming. Van Dyke allegedly used the knowledge to place a bet on Polymarket, one of the apps that I mentioned earlier, knowing the outcome before anybody else did. He walked away with somewhere between $400,000 and $560,000, depending on the report, and he has pled not guilty. Trump's response when reporters caught him on this?
That's like Pete Rose betting on his own team. It's a little like Pete Rose. Pete Rose, they kept him out of the Hall of Fame because he bet on his own team. Now, if he bet against his team, that would be no good, but he bet on his own team. I'll look into it.
I'll take a look at it. Came out of Trump's mouth on April 23rd. The Senate moved on without him. 7 days later, the White House still has no ban in place. Trump said that he would look into it, then said in the same interview that he was never in much favor of these prediction markets. But his own son, Donald Trump Jr., is a paid advisor at Kalshi, the same platform that caught the candidates, supports the Senate ban, and publicly cheered for new regulation. The president's son has a financial interest in the industry that the president said that he doesn't particularly like. That is a conflict of interest sitting right in front of everybody, at least in my opinion. Now, the candidates and the soldier are visible cases with names that are actually attached to them. What happened around the Iran strikes is a case with no names, no charges, and hundreds of millions of dollars moving in the dark.
On March 23rd, just 14 minutes before Trump unexpectedly posted about, quote, very good conversations on ending the war, traders suddenly bet $500 million on the price of oil, which, once Trump made his announcement, immediately dropped. It happened again on April 7th, and then again on April 21st, a surge in oil bets, then a Trump post, and then a huge shift in oil prices in just the space of minutes.
Not 14 hours, not 14 days, 14 minutes before a presidential post moved the global oil markets. $500 million was already in position, and it happened 3 separate times. March 23rd, April 7th, April 21st, same pattern every single time. Oil bets spike, Trump post, prices shift, somebody pockets the difference in between. And across all three events, Schumer put a number on the Iran side alone, 17 accounts. Each one collected over $100,000. All of them placed hours before strikes that hadn't been made publicly or hadn't had a public announcement yet. Not one of those 16 accounts have been charged. The soldier got arrested. The Iran money is still sitting in anonymous winners who walked away potentially clean. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, the man whose department is running the operations for where those bets took place on, had an answer for that in the Senate.
You're saying you're not paying any attention to this insider trading. Is that what you're telling me? That you've paid no attention to this? You haven't noticed it? You haven't done anything about it?
What I'm saying is we're focused on our mission of executing for the American people, and what happens in markets is not, in betting markets is not something we're involved in.
The answer here, you guys, tells you everything about how we arrived at a Senate vote that nobody actually saw coming. The regulatory said it wasn't them. The defense secretary said it wasn't him. The platform said that they were doing their best internally. And while every powerful person pointed at somebody else, classified information was moving $500 million through anonymous accounts on betting apps. The Senate finally moved on April 30th, and they did it without leaving a single fingerprint on the vote.
The Senate unanimously passed a bill last week to ban members and their staff from using the platforms, which allow wagering on everything from war to election to sports.
We must never allow Congress to turn into a casino where members representing the public can gamble on wars or economic crises or elections. That would destroy the very principle of representative government.
What we're doing is allowing our constituents to know once and for all that no member of the United States Senate, no member of their staff of the United States Senate can ever use that inside information to use as a way to monetize this job whatsoever.
Now there's pressure on the House to do the same.
But not one senator has their name attached to that vote either. They passed this so quietly, it barely broke the news cycle. No roll call, no recorded vote. They changed the rules of the United States Senate without a single senator's name being attached to which they voted. Think about that for a second, you guys. You don't skip a recorded vote because you're proud of what you're doing. You skip it because you don't want anybody else asking how long has this been happening before Senate got around to stopping it. And the platforms, the companies being regulated, celebrated the ban publicly. Polymarket put out a statement in full support. Kalshi founder pushed the House to copy it immediately. When the companies being restricted cheer for the new rules, it means the rules protect them from something much worse coming down the road.
The House should immediately pass the same ban for House members and staff that we passed for the Senate. And President Trump must do the same thing for the entire administration. No betting on our budgets, no wagering on war, no gambling on government.
The Senate rule covers 100 people. The House has 435 members. Add their staff and every White House official who sits on a national security briefing and every Pentagon official who knows when the next operation is being planned. Every single one of them can still open up a Polymarket account right now with no rules, no consequences, and the same Congress that promised a stock trading ban in 2021, 4 years ago. Still haven't delivered on that promise either. Stock ban took 4 years and still nothing. Prediction markets took 1 week once the cameras were pointed at the right people. 1 week. The Senate now is essentially playing catch up on something that grew right in front of them for over a year. The board member defending the ban on TV, Brian Quintez, is also a former commissioner of the CFTC. That is the federal agency whose only job is to regulate these markets. He left the regulator and joined the board of the company the regulator oversees. And he went on TV to explain why the Senate rule change is good for business. He's right that it protects the industry. A scandal big enough to expose sitting officers would have destroyed these platforms in a heartbeat. The Senate ban here takes the risk off the table for the companies. The president says he doesn't like it. His son is getting paid for it. The industry that both of them are connected to just got a Senate shield, and the House hasn't moved an inch. Rep. Ashley Hinson from Iowa is working on a House vision of the ban. Schumer called on Johnson to pass it immediately. As of May 5th, 2026, no vote is scheduled here. No date on the calendar. Every House member and every person of their staff is still completely, absolutely free to bet on any government action they are directly involved in deciding. And there are more than a dozen different bills floating around Congress trying to fix different pieces of this. Banning bets on military strikes, banning elected officials' families from participating, creating new CFTC oversight powers. None of them here, you guys, are in law. The one thing that passed was a Senate rule change that nobody's name is attached to.
Prohibiting predictive market trading in Congress could ramp up the pressure for an all-out stock trading ban, an effort that's been stalled for years.
There it is, the same system, the same pattern, promised for years, stalled forever, and only moves when somebody gets caught in public. Sounds familiar. America, the Senate didn't pass that ban because somebody woke up with a conscience here, okay? They passed it because the evidence trail was getting a little too long and visible to ignore. A soldier in a New York courtroom, 3 candidates caught on camera by their own platform, 16 accounts perfectly positioned on a military strike that hadn't been announced yet. The pattern was ever so slightly documented. The pattern was public, and if the Senate waited any longer, somebody was going to start asking whose names are behind those anonymous accounts. A unanimous vote with no roll call means nobody wanted their name on it. Not even on the side that did the right thing. That is guilt wearing a press pass here, you guys. The House has no ban. The White House has no ban. The Pentagon has no ban. And the 4-year-old promise of stop lawmakers from trading stocks they control is still nothing but a talking point here. When powerful people clean up something so fast and do it quietly, they're usually protecting something that they haven't told you about yet. Let me know what you think about this. Drop your bets down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.